Market sizing is one of the hardest case studies out there. You're given no information, no data, you're given little to no help, and yet you're expected to solve problems like how many toothbrushes are sold every 4 months in some country you've never been to. So in this video, I'm going to take you through a structure that will help you solve any market sizing question. So if that sounds interesting, then keep on watching. Hi, my name's Henry. I'm an incoming BCG consultant, and here at the Consulting Axis, our mission is to help you align your future, whether that's becoming a consultant or learning to think like a consultant. So if either of those sound good, then consider subscribing and turning on bell notifications so you don't miss anything. But for now, let's get right into the video. So firstly, what is market sizing? So the market part of that is essentially just a category of business. So this could be the pet insurance market or the ice cream van market. And the size of a market is really just how we measure that market. So that could normally be done in terms of revenue, so how much money is made in this market in a given time period, or by volume of sales, so how much of this product is sold in a given time period. And what is key about market sizing is that it is not about the correct answer. Your answer could really be anything, but it is more about your logic and your methodology of how you get to that answer, and that is what I will teach you in this video. So now we know what market sizing is, we can get on to our first point, and this is learn some useful facts. Like I said earlier, you don't get any data in a market sizing question, so it's incredibly useful to learn some general facts that can be applicable in a wide variety of different questions, and I'll take you through some ones to learn now. So the facts I think you should memorise are population size, average household number, population of major cities, and demographic ratios. And by this I mean what proportion of a population lie in certain age groups, and this can be really helpful as you'll see later in this video. And for each of these, make sure you focus on the country of the office that you're applying to, but knowing these for some other countries can be helpful as well. Make sure you just get a rough estimate of what these values are. So if a population was 67.5 million, just remember 65 million. This will make your life a lot easier when it comes to the calculation. So now we've got an idea of some facts that will help us, let's look at solving a market sizing question. The question we will be looking at solving is, what is the market size for meat-free alternatives in the UK? Now, before we even think about starting to answer this question, we need to be clear about what we're actually solving, right? Because this question is quite vague. How are we measuring market size? What is the timescale we're looking at? And what is their definition of a meat-free alternative? So these are known as clarifying questions, and you would ask your interviewer these after they ask you the question, and they would respond with something like this. So we're measuring market size in terms of revenue. The timescale we're looking at is within a year, and a meat-free alternative is a vegetarian product that tries to emulate meat. So think of corn mince, for example. So now that we're clear on the question we're trying to solve, we can start answering it. And at this point in your interview, you would ask your interviewer for a minute just to help you structure your approach to this problem. So now let's talk about our first technique of solving these questions. Calculation trees. So what is a calculation tree? Well, I think it's best to explain this via an example. So revenue is what we're trying to get, so that goes at the top, that's our top box. And then how can we separate this? Well, we can separate this into amount spent on these meat-free alternatives in a year per vegetarian and number of vegetarians, because if we multiply these two things together, we're going to get the revenue. And I'm assuming here that only vegetarians buy these meat-free products, and that's a fine assumption to make as long as you tell your interviewer what you're doing. Let's forget about the number of vegetarians for now and focus on the other box. This can be separated into number of weeks in a year and amount spent on these meat-free alternatives in a week per vegetarian. So we know the number of weeks in a year, so let's focus on the box we don't know. So this can be separated into the total amount spent per week by a vegetarian on grocery shopping, and then the other box would be what proportion of this is spent on those meat-free alternatives. Now I think I can kind of guess these two boxes. So the first one, I'm going to say this is around £30, so that's around $40. And the other one, I'm going to estimate this to be around 10%. These might not be exactly right, but they're just estimates. And now that we've got everything, we can actually work our way up, saying that the number of weeks, yes, that's 52, but let's just say it's 50 for the sake of calculation. And if we work our way back up, we can get the amount spent per vegetarian in a year spent on these meat-free alternatives to be about £150 or $200. So now we've got this, we need to get the number of vegetarians in the UK, and the way we do this is using a segmentation table. So here is our segmentation table. It essentially categorises the UK population into 4 age groups. The second row tells us the percentage of the population that lie in these age groups, and I know that by knowing some demographic ratios. And the last row tells us what percentage of people in these age groups are vegetarian, because that will vary, and these numbers I've just kind of estimated myself. And from this we can calculate the number of vegetarians in the UK to be around 3 million. And now knowing this, we can calculate the market size by revenue. So that's the £150 we got from our calculation tree, times by 3 million to get £450 million, and that's around $600 million. So after you've finished structuring your approach, you would then walk your interviewer through your answer, because like I said earlier, that's what's important, your methodology, not just the answer you get at the end. And if you think you've maybe overestimated or underestimated some values, that's fine, don't worry about it. You can even talk to your interviewer about this and how you would analyse this a bit further to get a better estimate. They do really like to see you reflect on what you've just done. So now you know a structure that will help you solve any market sizing question. You need to practice as often as you can. So give the following question a go. How many toothbrushes are sold every year in India? And please let me know your answers in the comments, it'd be really nice to see that. So if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, then please consider subscribing, it really does help me out a lot. And if you want more tips on how to crack consulting case interviews, then be sure to check out my online course, which you'll find the link to in the description, or you can just check out some of my other YouTube videos, which I'll put up there. But for now, best of luck with your consulting case interviews.